Looks like we're live. We got a pretty good crowd here already, folks. Y'all pardon me. I had my magnifier out. I think Beth uses one of these too. But man, when you've got new batteries in this thing, holy smokes, look at that thing. You put that together with one of these uncirculated silver dollars, man, and you're going, oh, you remember the old days when we had flash bulbs? It's a lot like that. There's Blues Coins, Mills Coin Corner, Jeff Dunn, Daryl USA, David Carlisle, Blues Coins again, Z Squared. How you guys doing? We got us a little men's club going here. The ladies don't always turn up for these things, but it is not a men's club. It is we appreciate one and all. We even don't mind a troll once in a while if they aren't too obnoxious. But there's the Professor Peavy, and special thanks to you, Professor, for helping put all this together. I'm not sure how my audio is. Let me know if the audio is off right now. I've been playing with it some. Now, today's the 11th of November. Does anybody know what date in history the 11th of November is indicative of? We know it's technically it's Veterans Day, but why do we have Veterans Day? Does anybody know that one? Veterans Day. This is actually the 100th anniversary of that day. The World War I ended. Thank you, Mel's Coin Corner. And yeah, 1 point for you. Hostilities ceased on this day in 1918, and the Treaty of Versailles was finalized later in the summer of the next year. But 100 years ago today is when the shooting stopped. And in Hoogie's book, when the shooting stops, then the war's over. And the suits can sort things out after the shooting stops. But that's the end of the war. And at first, Veterans Day had a different name. Anybody know what the different name of Veterans Day was? Veterans Day hasn't always been called Veterans Day. It was for up from about what was it, I think 1919 up through 1926 or so. CJ, thank you and welcome. Armistice, yeah, it was called Armistice Day. And Youper Girl also got the right answer. 2 points for both of you. Z squared with the, yeah, Blockhead. How you doing, Blockhead? How you enjoying that pen? Armistice Day. And after World War One, man, everybody was all about the peace. It was took such a toll on the entire world and the world economy and the populations in Europe and beyond. And good deal. You love it. Hang on to that thing. Don't throw it at anybody. It might break. And anyway, we're talking about Blockhead's pen. He sent me a piece of wood one time. I made a pen out of it. So that's what we're talking about, in case you didn't know. Remembrance Day. I don't know what Remembrance Day was. Well, I used to know, but I forgot. So we've got some stuff to go over, and some of it's kind of time-consuming. And it says your MIL still calls it Armistice Day. Hello, Mrs. Hoogie. My mother-in-law still calls it Armistice Day. Wow. She's not that old. What are you talking about? Greetings to Mrs. Hoogie. And greetings to my mother-in-law and father-in-law. I know you're out there somewhere. Aunt, yep. We love our Carson City stuff around here. You see the map behind me, and yeah, that's the Bonanza thing. When I was 5 years old, I used to love to watch Bonanza, and Hoss Cartwright was my favorite. Well, actually, Adam was my favorite, but I emulated Hoss Cartwright. Peace dollar. Everybody knows what a peace dollar is, right? I got one right here. Let me switch over. Got one right here, out of whack because I've been playing around with it. The 1921 peace dollar was the first one, okay? And the first one was in high relief. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. All the others were in lower relief than the original. Dan Blocker, that's right. He died of some kind of strange blood disorder. But, and the show ended shortly after that, too. So we got the this basic design of the peace dollar. This one you can see is quite flat in the strike all around here and up in here. It's really pretty flat, and yeah, it's got the V right here introduced rather than the U. The original design even had Roman numerals down here instead of the Arabic numerals there. That was changed at the mint after the design was approved. Now, let me put a glove on here. That's a pretty nice coin, and this one is Mrs. Hoogie's, so we're not gonna mess up Mrs. Hoogie's uncirculated Morgan. My glove on. Got the black nitro glove here, and we'll take a look at the reverse. Everybody's pretty familiar with these things, I believe, but just in case, we got the eagle facing towards the east, and we got the unseen rising sun over here with sunbeams coming up. Eagle is on a mountain of sorts, and this word peace is the peace mountain, I guess. And he is at rest, holding the olive branches and enjoying the rising sun of peace after the end of what they called the Great War. Now we call it World War I. It was the only world war. It was the Great War to them. And believe me, it wasn't so great if you were in it. It was old style trench stuff and bloody tank battles and all kinds of stuff. So, peace dollar, 1921, as we said, is high relief. Then it's switches on to a lower relief. Here we have a 23 Philly. Now we're going to give away a peace dollar. We're going to give a 23S away. But I believe this is a Philly. I'll get my scope straightened out. And you can see here the strike has taken a little more fully here in the hair. That's not because the strike's better, but because the whole die was made shallower. Okay, so after 1921, they changed the entire design. Now let's see here. What are you guys talking about? Spanish flu might not have originated in Spain. They certainly had more freedom to spread the word about that plague, though. And yeah, I missed something there, but thank you, Aunt. And the reverse is similar in nature. It is in, these are typically poorly struck, by the way. You can see the weakness in some of these letters up here around the EPU and especially over here around this part of United. And seems to me they're always weak down here where it says peace. Just about all of them are weak there. On the obverse, they're when they get weak, they tend to be weak right over here on this left side where it says "In God We." So, Blues Coin says, "I don't have any peace dollars." Well, stick around, Blues, and you might just win one. That was the Philly right there. Let's put that one back, and you might just win this one here. This is a 1923. It kind of looks like an 8 there, but it's a 23. And it's in uncirculated condition, and it is a beauty. This is the one that I about burned my retina using this crazy magnifier. Now, all of this started as a result of World War I, as we said. Let's go back to the 21. The World War I, the war was over, and well, during the war, the Americans had we didn't we really didn't make that much of the materiel and the weaponry for war at that time. We bought it from the Europeans, particularly the British, and we owed them a bunch of money. And so we'll go back here so you can see something you might not want to look at, really. We owed the British a bunch of money, and the British were colonial nation. You know, they love to do that, and the colonies here used to be part of the British Empire, but Britain used to have India as part of the empire at that time. Hello, Todd Miller, Anna Hutchinson, and Lemonhead is here. Good to see you guys. And so after the war, the gold had been depleted in just about everywhere because the international trade was done with gold. And nothing can deplete your gold supply like a big old nasty war, including the Americans. We got in late in 1918. We got in there late in the war, or 1917 we got into the war. So we were really only in the war fully for 1 year. Not so for the British, and the British were in big trouble because their silver certificates had no gold to speak of. They used silver certificates just like we did at one time, and they had not enough silver to back those silver certificates. Well, the Germans, who there's no love lost between the Germans and the Brits, the German government or German banks began to spread the news that Britain didn't have enough silver, and so the silver certificates were worthless, are nearly worthless. If you can't redeem your silver certificates, then it's just fiat money, right? And who wants a generational debt-based fiat Ponzi scheme for a money supply system? But um, that happened later to us, by the way. So the British contacted the Americans, and we had silver. We were able to get silver here. We were getting silver in Nevada, uh, plenty of it apparently. And there was bunches and bunches of old Morgan silver dollars. Everybody knows what a Morgan silver dollar is. There was plenty of old, and here's a really beat up. This happens to be on the desk, and I don't know how I even got this thing, but it's a hideous looking, scratched up, kind of a ready for the melting pot itself. But the Morgan silver dollars, there was bunches and bunches of them in the vaults of the Treasury Department. And so the British government needed silver. We had silver, and all we needed was an act of Congress to approve all this. Well, the silver guys out in the West, Nevada particularly, came up with the Pittman Act, and the Pittman Act was dreamed up by a guy from Nevada named Pittman, and it allowed for the melting of up to 350 million Morgan silver dollars. And it just breaks my heart to think of all those perfectly cartwheel, uncirculated, some of them key date Morgans going right into a furnace to be melted. And that's what turned a lot of our high mintage coins into expensive, hard to get coins, like say the 1901 Philly Morgan silver dollar, and a bunch of others. It certainly ran the price up on a bunch of them when that many were destroyed. But the silver was melted. It was sold to the British. It acted as sort of a wartime bailout for them, kept their currency afloat, and as a result, helped to win the war. So I guess it's not so bad. It did increase the value of the surviving Morgan silver dollars. Now, that's a little bit of the background. The sweet part about the Pittman Act for the Nevada silver miners was that it required the government to purchase silver to replace every doggone one of those melted down silver dollars, and to buy it at the wartime price. And so they were able to kind of short sell, I guess, the several years worth of silver at a higher price, and bail out the government was able to kind of bail out the Brits at the same time. So it was a win-win for everybody, except for the collectors who, saw so many of the coins destroyed. Many of them were just brand new too, just sitting in the vault, waiting to be released. But anyway, let's check up on chat just for a second here. See what I got. Y'all like and subscribe if you do like, and if you want to subscribe, please do. A special thanks to all of you who have served in the U.S. Armed Forces. We take that stuff really seriously here at the Hobby Shop. So to those of you who have served, special thank you. Now, so the peace dollar was born out of all of this, all that silver. In 1921, the plans for the peace dollar didn't really exist yet. They started minting more of the Morgan dollars, just like that ugly one I just showed. And the 1921 Morgan dollars are the least valuable of all of the Morgan dollars, because they put out something like 65 million Morgan silver dollars among the three mints at that time. And so beginning on May the 9th that year, the Morgan dollar mills started churning out all these Morgan dollars. 1921 Morgans were just pouring out of the mints, and the American public didn't really like the Morgan dollar anymore. It had, to them, kind of run its course a long time ago. But there they were. So someone in the ANA of all places, the American Numismatic Association, what's the guy's name? Zerby, Farron Zerby is his name. He gave a speech in Chicago that we should have a coin to commemorate the peace, and it caught on. There was also an article printed in the Numismatist by Frank Duffield, and he pushed for it also. And this began to gather political steam, and there was actually a bill introduced, a coinage bill introduced that year, and it didn't pass. A bunch of political stuff going on. It didn't pass in time to get started. But the U.S. Commission on Fine Arts got the go-ahead to go ahead and work on a design. So they had a little contest, and we love a contest, you know. At the Mint, they had a little contest. Who was? You remember the winner of the contest here? You may or may not. Was Anthony De Franchici. And I hope I'm saying that right. De Franchici. Doesn't sound very American, but he was the winner. But he was up against some of the very finest artists, the coin artists in the world. Lemonhead says it gave us the peace dollar, not really a fair trade. Yeah, I would prefer to have had those high quality Morgans that were melted back then, especially those of us who have like a almost complete collection, you know. But there's that one that, you know, like say the 93 S's. Many of those were melted, and now we got hardly any high grade 93 S's of Morgans. But in this contest for the peace dollar design, I mean, there were some good familiar names in there. Victor David Brenner, he of the Lincoln Cent fame. Herman McNeil, who incidentally has the same name as a guy I went to grammar school with who used to eat crickets. Herman McNeil was in there. He of the Standing Liberty Quarter fame. I'm not sure if he ate crickets or not, but you know, who knows. Adolf Weineman, he was in the hunt for the peace dollar design. And old Anthony De Franchici, he had only done one coin. It was the Maine commemorative coin that had, I don't know what year it came out, but it was back in those days. Looks like 1920, I think, is the Maine commemorative that Franchici did. And he didn't think he would win. He thought the competition was too stiff, and he made bets with his friends that he would not win the competition. So Lemonhead says, you ever go to Carson and see that collection? No, I haven't been to Carson City. Missing only one, I think. We definitely pay special attention to the Carson cities. Now, so Franchici had bet his friends that he would lose. And I got to open this back up so I can not freak out, see the lag. He didn't lose. His design, he made, they charged them to make Liberty. The artists were instructed to depict the head of Liberty on the obverse to be made as beautiful and full of character as possible. Well, she certainly is better looking than old Anna Willis from the Morgan dollar. Here we are with our 1923 S, which we'll be giving away. But you know, a little more delicate, a little more feminine, a little more youthful looking. It was Franchici's intent. He says his goal was to capture the spirit of the country, its intellectual speed, vigor, and vitality. And I thought, wow, okay. So let's take a look. There's old Anthony DeFranceschi himself, and he looks to me, gosh, he looks like an artist, doesn't he? Look at the intensity of the eyes and the mouth. Looks like he's just about to go on an artistic tirade or something and throw something, you know. But that's Anthony DeFranceschi. He's got the hat. He's got the hair. No wonder he won the contest. Jeez. Well, the story is that he got together with his wife, young wife at that time, and he used her as the model for the coin. But since then, we've learned that this played a part in the design of the coin too. This is a bronze bust made by old St. Gaudens himself. Now St. Gaudens, you know from other coins, we still have some coins with St. Gaudens design on, like the American Silver Eagle and whatever. And you might recognize the, look at that, that's backwards. Good Lord. Let's move that this way. You might recognize the pose of the peace dollar. Now, a copy of this bust was loaned out to Franceschi from his teacher and mentor, James Frazier, he of the Buffalo nickel fame. James Frazier, this one was in the Metropolitan Museum of Art and was purchased straight from the artist himself shortly before his death in 1907. So it was a copy that Franceschi was working from. Now, let's take a look here. Grab one of those. There is his wife, Teresa Caffarelli DeFranceschi. How about that? And yeah, she is probably a little better looking than old Anna Willis. I call her Anna Willis. Her real name was Anna Willis Williams. She of the Morgan Dollar fame. But somewhere between this bust and Teresa's face, we have now gotten the peace dollar. So, when the contest was won, the prize was $1,500, and he used some of the money to purchase some of the fresh, high quality specimens. He bought them straight from George Morgan at the Mint, and we know George Morgan from the Morgan silver dollar. So he bought 50 of those, and he used the coins to pay off the debts, the gambling debts that he had. How about that, all you gambling fans out there? He used the money to pay off his friends that he bet he would not win the contest when he did win the contest. And so there we have our artist winning the contest, but the go-ahead really hasn't been given yet from the government to strike these things. There's a lot of political pressure behind the scenes. There's even a bill sitting in Congress being held up. Now, we'll take a short break there and catch up on chat. Let me move this. And move this, if it will. I tell you, the mouse here is just brutal to work with sometimes, especially when I'm broadcasting here. Mrs. Hoogie says, oh, she's talking to the Yooper girl. Yeah, peace dollars are Mrs. Hoogie's favorite. Absolutely beautiful, and they are. When they're well struck, or reasonably well struck, they are beautiful. I like those open fields and the simple design. It's those open fields and simple design that make it prone to bag marks and scratches that would be hidden by detail otherwise. Now, Youper Girl says, one of my favorites too, along with the Morgans. Just hadn't started collecting them yet. Stick around, Youper Girl, you never know. The 23S is an excellent place to start. The collection, the the Peace Dollars is only 24 coins in the entire collection, and so you can get a pretty good start on that without spending a lot of money. Now there's a couple of key dates. The key date to me, the only one that's the real one, is the 1921 high relief original coin. It was made right there at the end of 1921. And then the other key date is 1928. 1928 was a short date, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. And the other key date is the 1934S, which has come into its own as a really valuable coin in high grade. An uncirculated 1934S, you're talking a couple $1,000. So, although that one is pretty expensive, many or most of them you can get in uncirculated grade for less than $50, and most of the time at a good deal you can get them for $30 and $35. So, do keep that in mind. Sorry, Charlie. And get yourself started on a collection if you would like. There's nothing to it, and if you're into the investment grade stuff, then you're going to want those key dates. They're the ones that are going to accelerate in value over time. Like if you're into using coins as a investment to someday sell, just to collect them. There's many of them that are only $30 in uncirculated condition. Now, where were we? De Franchici has won the contest, and in November it was realized that there was an old, to us would be an old, there was a law on the books that any coin that had been struck for more than 25 years was eligible for replacement at the discretion of the Secretary of the Treasury. So there's hope for our peace dollar yet, because the Morgan silver dollar had been struck for a lot longer than just 25 years, and it was being struck at that time thanks to some very smart work by other people. So the Treasury Secretary said, yep, make that peace dollar. We got the winner, we got the design. Actually, the final winner was chosen pretty late. Time the contest was done, there was barely enough time to get it done in the year at all. But they got it going, and there was one problem. The original design on the reverse looked something like this, and that is different from the one that we have nowadays. This eagle is standing on a broken sword. Now, broken sword is what the veterans didn't like. There was a public outcry about it, and boy, the New York papers just had a fit about that broken sword. I'll set this over here. This is back here is our current reverse. This is the broken one on the left, is the broken sword reverse. It was replaced by George Morgan himself. They kind of threw it at him to remove this sword straight from the master hub, and that had to have been a heck of a thing. Right at Christmas too, you know. He's a government guy. He's in there trying to do his work and not screw up the master hub, because making another master hub would be quite a job. But listen to what the New York Herald said about the broken sword reverse. If the artist had sheathed the blade or blunted it, there would be no objection. Sheathing is symbolic of peace, of course. The blunted sword implies mercy, but a broken sword carries with it only unpleasant associations. Now, let's see. A sword is broken when its owner has disgraced himself. It's broken when a battle is lost, or breaking the sword is alternative to surrendering. And let's go here. A sword is broken when the man who wears it can no longer render allegiance to his sovereign. But America has not broken its sword. They just won the Great War, by the way. It has not been cashiered or beaten. It has not lost allegiance to itself. The blade is bright and keen and wholly dependable. It is regrettable that the artist should have made such an error in symbolism. The sword is emblematic of justice as well as of strength. Let not the world be deceived by this new dollar. The American effort to limit armament and to prevent war, or at least reduce its horror, does not mean that our sword is broken. So take that. Within 2 days of this coming out in the New York Herald, and other papers too were critical, they had somehow gotten a hold of a picture of the design before it went to the mint, and that's how the broken sword picture was leaked. So within 2 days of this editorial, the political pressure was very intense on the mint and the director and the president and everybody that was involved, and so it had to be changed, and they dumped it on old George Morgan at age 76. They said, get rid of that sword and give us one with no sword. And so he did. He took, let's go back over here. He took the sword out off of the master hub allegedly, and replaced it with these more olive branches. And he also got rid of the little piece there underneath the tail behind the bird's feet. He got rid of that part, and changed the sunbeam rays a little bit. And we ended up having this reverse right here. Now, there were a few other sorry, trying to find my scene there, trying to make the scene. There were a few other changes that were made on the original design. It was made as a plaster thing, which they could put on what they call a janvier lathe, which maybe I should do my hand like this, janvier lathe. But it was a time-consuming process to transfer that plaster model down to a master hub, which was 1.5 inches on the hub part. A couple of modifications included. Let's see here. Changing the date to traditional numbers, getting rid of the Roman numerals. They got rid of the broken sword, and there was apparently some softening of the features of Lady Liberty herself. So apparently even Teresa Caffarelli's features weren't soft enough and all that. But off they went. It was the day after Christmas. They began striking coins and immediately began to have trouble with striking troubles and all that with this high relief coin. So to strike in high relief takes a tremendous amount of pressure to get the planchet to move and fill up all of those voids, which we saw just a minute ago. I'll try to go here. The voids in the high relief don't get filled up. We end up with all these like flat hair details on the obverse. We end up with kind of weak feather details on the reverse, and finer details. A lot of them are just lost because of the poor strike. The original had some texture on the eagle's talons and stuff, and we just don't get them that good because of the weakness of the strike, because of the high relief. Now, high relief also meant that the dies took a tremendous amount of pressure, and they were changing dies. It said in one place that I read that they went through dies so quickly they just got tired of changing them all the time, because they had to change dies and run a little while and change a die, run a while and the die would break and change another die. And so somehow in the middle of all that, the very last week in 1921, and probably spilled over a little bit into 1922 also, to use up the dies they had, over 1 million coins struck, and so that's pretty good. Otherwise, gosh, those things would cost a real fortune if they'd only struck maybe 500,000 or 300,000 or something like that. Let me check up on chat. Hang on just a second while I move my stuff. So anyway, Youper Girl says, I think she's beautiful. I tried drawing her. I did okay. I didn't. Wow. Mrs. Hoogie. Yeah. Okay. Sorry I'm late, says JC Will. Welcome. Too many phone calls. Turn that phone off, JC. I did. Now, where were we on our peace dollar? We've gotten the first strikes going, and they're ready for circulation in January. The first 50 of the early ones were sold right away to. Did they strike? CJ says, did they strike any patterns of the original design? Original design, to my knowledge, first strike was on December the 26th of 1921, and the dies were changed by George Morgan, or the hub, the master hub was changed by George Morgan. The dies thereafter were the result of that. Now, I don't know that, there probably were other dies prepared, but I think they were destroyed. That'd be a good question for someone like Robert Lawson, somebody who is very familiar with all this stuff. Lemonhead says, plus, wasn't he in his 80s? He being, George Morgan? George Morgan, they said, was 76 years old when he did this changing of the hub stuff. Now, I can't imagine how that happened. Personally, to be able to change the hub and add features to it that would hold up to striking out master dies, I don't know. But according to the research I have here, which is from different sources, some of which conflict, by the way. Now, along the way, the coin had just a few minor changes. One was in 30, I think it was 34S, but take a look at this 26. Let me go to the scope. This is a 26 Philly, and 26 Philly, thing about it is it's very typical, and it's very common coin. It's very inexpensive, even in high grade. The word God, in there's a dot, in dot God, we trust over there. Where it says God, you see it's pronounced more clearly. It's as if the new mint director, by the way, George Morgan, had passed away, and there was a new mint director, and he had the dies re-engraved at God for some reason, so that it would be prominent on this silver dollar. So check out the 1926 peace dollars and check for God on there, and you'll see that they're stronger. And I looked at through Mrs. Hoogie's collection. This might be a Denver. I don't know. I can't see the mint mark from there. Hold on a second. Let me risk retinal damage here with my new batteries in this thing. This is a Denver. This is a Denver mint. Right there underneath one, there's a little mark that is a D, and the pronounced God was done that way in all three mints in 1926. Now we got just a little while here. First of all, is there anybody in the audience that served in the American Armed Forces? Anybody in chat? Anybody in chat serve in the American Armed Forces? There's a few that I know of. I don't know that any of you guys did. Well, Blues Coin says, yes, sir, Air Force. Thank you, Blues. And we here at the Hobby Shop, like I said, we take it very seriously. This business of serving in the American military, the flag, and all things patriotic. And as soon as I can remove this here, we're going to take a look at this. Blues Coins, I want you to send me a shipping address. You just won this here American Silver Eagle coin. It is a 2018, which by the way, you cannot get 2018 Silver Eagles from the mint anymore. They've all been sold. So you can get them from dealers and retailers and people like me. So Blues Coins, there's an email address in the description, and send me a shipping address. Thank you for your service. Now, in the military, a lot of people say you're trained not to volunteer for anything, but thank you, Blues Coin, for being first on the list. Now, we have another giveaway. This one here, and I will double check it. Again, risking retinal damage with my incredibly bright light here. This is the 23S. And let's take a look at it. We're going to give this away here in just a minute. This particular coin has some doubling on it. Most of it looks like machine doubling, but right over here on this side, there's a little hint of a notch there, but I don't know. I did not find it listed in the book of VAMs, and the more complete list of VAMs of VAM World is in a place that nobody can get it now. Their wiki page has expired, and I don't know what I'm going to do about that. Maybe somebody has it somewhere. I had downloaded the entire VAM World listings for the Morgan silver dollars, and I went to them one day and they were still there. Went to them another day and they were gone. They disappeared. It's like they expired and went away. So we're going to give away this here coin. You say, okay, quit talking about it and do it. Well, to win this here coin, 1923S in uncirculated condition, probably an MS61, maybe. Got to answer one question, all right? First person in chat that on my screen to answer the question wins the coin. All you got to do is send me an email with your shipping address. If I don't already have it, send me your shipping address to claim your prize. There is a new VAM site, Lemonhead Penny says. Thank you, Lemonhead. I'll be checking that out. the question is, what is, let's see here, where's my thing? Yeah. What is the name of this song? Yes, this song was written by my brother, performed by him, and recorded by him. And he lets me use it right here at the hobby shop for your listening enjoyment. I do hope you can hear it. It actually plays in the background all the time. No, it's not Lazy River. Good guess. Lemonhead Penny says it's the MD Blues. Now, Lemonhead Penny, you are the winner. From 1923. Yes. Morgan Dollar, congratulations to Lemonhead Penny. And feel free to do with it as you please. So, 23S will be in your hands. We'll ship out on Tuesday. Monday is Veterans Day. Armistice Day if you prefer. And looks like these coins are both going to very good hands. So, congratulations to Lemonhead Penny. We have just a few minutes left. Take the music down. That's the thing, is I always forget the music is on. And in case you didn't hear me, I was saying congratulations to Lemonhead. Your coin will ship on Tuesday. And I believe I do have your address someplace. Now, among the changes, there is a special piece dollar right at the end of the series. I think it's the 34S that has some minor changes on the reverse. Now, we won't go into all that. They're pretty minor, and it's a pretty rare coin. But look for those whenever you're collecting piece dollars. You want the good strikes. Okay, you don't want ones that have really weak features, especially on the letters, on the hair, and certainly the date. But you want good clean strikes, and if possible, these lesser expensive piece dollars, you want to try to get them in uncirculated condition. Now, anybody, I'm sorry for being so much like a lecture, so preachy and didactic. You know, I wish the people could talk in the chat line rather than just write. You know, because then we could do more of a like Socratic thing where I ask questions and you say ooh or whatever. But any questions about the piece dollars, or is there anything I misspoke on that someone wishes to correct me before it goes down in posterity, as Hoogie said it? Yeah, I got the music down now. And I know there's a lag, didactic, Socratic, you words. No, Hoogie's not a wordsmith. I'm just a hobby shop guy. In case you've been wondering, where has Hoogie been? I've been doing home projects and working on my tiny silver stack and things like that. But did you give their chickens their salad? Says Mrs. Hoogie. And yes, I did give the chickens their salad. And no, the rooster did not attack me today. It's a good day in the chicken house. But yes, the chickens are well fed. We have the best fed chickens probably on the earth, as far as I know. Mrs. Hoogie makes them a nice green salad with like blueberries and cut up grapes and everything in it. And so our chickens stay pretty happy. What years did the peace dollars run? Peace dollars began in 1921, and they ran consecutively until, Lemonhead, I thought I knew about the peace dollar. Well, glad we can help out. The peace dollar ran from 1921 and it ran consecutively up to 1928 and it stopped. Why did it stop? Because the silver that was bought according to the Pittman Act, remember we talked about the Pittman Act back in 1918, required the government to purchase silver at wartime prices, and that silver ran out in 1928. And so that's why we have a break in 1928. Then good old FDR, and who doesn't love FDR? The government wanted to issue silver certificates in the 30s. This is on the tail of the Great Depression. In 1934 and 1935, peace dollars came back for 2 years. So 1921 to 1928. 28 is the key date. That's when they ran out of silver and only minted like 300,000. Then it came back in 1934 and 1935. So in all, there's 24 coins to get all of the mints for all of the years. And your Dansko book only has 2 pages. It's like the skinniest Dansko book of them all. And does anyone else have a question? Blues Coin says, I had a mean rooster and he went away because of it. Yeah. Don't say that. We should delete that comment. Miss Hoogie might see it. Mrs. Hoogie says it's for victory. CJ says, or C&R says, I think victory. Victory, let me go back. I missed something there. Is the V, is that why we have Troost on the front of the coin? Not sure. A lot of people do. If they're not familiar with it, they think they have something really unique because it has a V on the trust, where it says "In God We Trust." Uses a V there. To me, it looks like a V is the only letter that would fit in that font. A regular U, you'd have to shrink the whole thing down. I don't know. By the way, when the coin finally did come out, De Franchici was pretty disappointed in it. After taking away the high relief, Ant says, I do. Is there a large S variety in the 1920 S peace dollar? That one I do not know. I'd have to research that one, or I would have to defer to your amazing research skills. You could probably find it a lot quicker than I could. Now, I tell you got a stumper for Ant. You've got a stumper. So everybody check that out. We were talking about the De Franchici. He was actually disappointed after losing the high relief because of the striking difficulties. He was like, it could have been better, but there it is. Let me tell you one more thing. This is something that I had not heard before. The Teresa, the model of this coin, she came to this country from, I think, Italy. Her name is Teresa Caffarelli, and came in on a boat, went right by the Statue of Liberty. And here's the story. Franchici, due to the short length of the competition, he lacked time to hire a model with the features he envisioned. Teresa De Franchici was born Teresa Caffarelli in Naples, Italy. In interviews, she related that when she was 5 years old, and the steamer on which she and her family were immigrating passed the Statue of Liberty, she was fascinated at the statue, called her family over, and struck a pose, with the torch. Struck a pose in imitation. She later wrote to her brother Rocco. This is letter to Rocco. You remember how I was always posing as Liberty, and how broken-hearted I was when some other little girl was selected to play the role in patriotic exercises in school. Pardon me while I put on my glasses. Special thanks to Mrs. Hoogie for loaning me glasses. I thought of those days often while sitting as a model for Tony's design. Anthony, she called him Tony. And now seeing myself as Miss Liberty on the new coin, it seems like the realization of my fondest childhood dream. So here is an immigrant, little girl, come to this country, and she always wanted to be Lady Liberty, and doggone if she didn't become Lady Liberty. And there we have it. Stark contrast to Anna Willis, by the way. Anna Willis didn't want to participate in the thing at all. And until George Morgan said, "What you talking about, Anna Willis?" So anyway, that's our Peace Dollar seminar video. If you look closely around the room, and I can't do it quite as discreetly as Beth did earlier today, but if you look around the room, you may see a number. That is the clue for the hobby shop, and you can use that clue number in solving the riddle to win the grand prize on, I think, Monday night on Professor Peavy's channel. So I'm going to check the chat one more time. Any more questions before we go? Fish have a boring sex life. I would agree, yeah. It's so strange to go backwards in the chat. Beth Coddington says, dreams really do come true. Well, they certainly did for Teresa Caffarelli de Franchici. So, and David, you can, David Carlisle, you can check us out on the replay shortly after we conclude. And you guys like and subscribe if you're not subscribed, and take care of those coins. Take care of yourself. Take care of the YouTube coin community. We'll see y'all.